Welcome back to Watching Business Morning here on Channels Television. Nigeria's inflation currently stands at 20.52%. That's for August 2022. It's the seventh increase month on month, and that's according to the National Bureau of Statistics. The depreciation of the local currency, that's the naira, disruptions in supply of food products, and an increase in the cost of production are the factors behind this latest increase. That's what the NBS says. But to help us drive this down, we have Dr. Muda Yusuf, the Chief Executive Officer of Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, here in the studio. Good morning, Dr. Yusuf. Good to have you. I think this is your first time in our new studio. So
exactly. I love it.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. But, I mean, the situation in the country doesn't look like something we should be laughing about. I mean, we see inflation at 20.52. We know that countries like Ghana have higher. I think their own is about 33 or something. But, I mean, let's look home. And NBS is pointing to the issue of depreciation of the currency as driving inflation. Help us connect this.
You see, if there is any major source of lamentation today in this economy, either on the part of the citizens or on the part of businesses, it's about inflation. If the situation was just about inflation rate of 20.5%, it could have been tolerable. But the reality is much worse than that. In many cases, in many instances, prices have doubled, prices have risen by over 50%, in some cases even 200%. I'm talking of the items that the average Nigerians consume, or items that the businesses also use in the course of production. So the situation is extremely very disturbing. And just as you said, of course, a number of factors, and just as the president also said when he was addressing the Presidential Committee on the Economy, some factors are domestic, which we can deal with internally. Some factors are external. So the foreign exchange situation, of course, is a major one. Two components of it. There's the depreciation, which we all know about, particularly in the parallel market. Unfortunately, we have a situation where the parallel market is now becoming the major reference market, or the default market, because of the liquidity crisis in the foreign exchange market. Then, of course, you have the issue of acute scarcity of foreign exchange. So it's a double whammy. To some extent, of course, you have talked extensively about oil theft and all of those things affecting it. But there's also a policy dimension to it. If you had a much more conducive, much more sustainable foreign exchange policy, the situation will not be as bad as it is. So the policy component, I think, is something that we need to address.
What do you mean by a much more conducive policy?
No, what I mean is that the way we manage the foreign exchange is not a market. A good market will match demand with supply. It will match those who are buying with those who are selling. What we have is an allocation platform. And that is creating a whole lot of distortions and a whole lot of corruption as well. A lot of inflows are not coming in. Because this economy typically does not depend only on oil. We have other sources. Because it's a very big economy. Even with all the challenges that we have, there are still a lot of opportunities that can attract inflows into this economy.
But we have the RT 200, we have the 100 for 100, we have a lot of policies, we have the CBN, the lists of items, that will not have access to FX to import because they're supposed to be produced in the country. Are you saying these efforts and initiatives are not enough?
They are not enough. In fact, most of these efforts that you outlined are demand management efforts. There is no sufficient attention to the supply side. The only, what can also look like a seeming endeavor on the supply side is this RT 200. And again, there's an issue with it. If you say that the exporter should bring exchange rate in, foreign export proceeds in at 427 or 425, you are giving them, is it 200 or whatever per dollar? And they know that if you give them free access to their foreign exchange, they can sell it at 700, at 650, at 680. So they still feel penalized by the policy. So if you have a policy that is penalizing supply of foreign exchange into the economy, it's a major problem. And it's a major contributor, it's a major source of the crisis that we have in liquidity in the foreign exchange market.
So do you
in addition to the oil theft problem.
Do you think a merge of the windows, is it a possibility?
It's a possibility. And it's not even a merge. Let the market function. That is it. In any market, sustainable market, and there's a whole lot of logic in allowing market economics to prevail, especially in this kind of situation. If you allow the market economics to prevail in the foreign exchange space, we will have less of a crisis. We have people will bring in money easily. People will take out money easily. The kind of embarrassment we suffered with the airlines, we will not suffer that kind of embarrassment. We are too big as an economy, as a nation, to suffer that kind of embarrassment.
Wouldn't that be allowing a free fall of the naira and just allow it wherever it lands?
Is it not? In fact, the worst has already happened. If you talk of a free fall at 700, what kind of free fall again can you expect? And in any case, if you allow a proper market system, it cannot get to 700. Because right now, foreign direct investment, go and look at the data on capital importation. It has crashed completely. It's not because people don't have confidence in this economy, but you need the right kind of foreign exchange management framework to allow for capital flows. You need capital flows to strengthen your currency. If you are obstructing capital flows, then you are creating a major crisis. So, for me, some of the domestic things which the president also alluded to, but he did not specifically mention before, is to address this forex management framework. Okay. Then, of course, we have issues of the monetary aspect, that is the CBN financing of deficit. That's the monetary effect of that on money supply. It's also fueling inflation. It's a major factor. It's also fueling even this exchange rate problem. Then, of course, you have the issue of energy cost.
Okay, but let's look at food inflation, because that's also a major one for Nigeria. It's at its highest level in 17 years, 23.12. And in that, you have imported food inflation at 5-year high, 17.94. Now, that Nigeria has arable land is no news. That Nigeria has the human resources, that Nigeria has the weather is no news. So I keep asking myself, isn't it possible for us to deal with, even if it's just the food inflation, must we import?
You see, there is no country that doesn't import. Even the countries that produced the most of food items, if you still check it, they still import some elements of it. But the point you made is very valid. We are too blessed in terms of arable land for us to be having issues with food. Now, first, we have this insecurity problem. It's a major factor. Even the little that we produce, which are produced essentially by these peasant farmers, we are not getting that production because of insecurity. So one way to deal with the food crisis is to deal with the insecurity problem. Because the biggest victims of this insecurity are the farmers, the villagers, the farming communities. So that is one. Secondly, we need to transform the agricultural sector with a lot of technology. We have quite a number of young people who are ready to go into agriculture. There's a huge opportunity there, both to feed our huge population and to export. But unless we apply technology to it, it's not easy to bring in these young people. And the old farmers, they are getting old. It's an aging population. we need to harness the energies of the young people into that space. But you cannot do that. They can't go and carry hoes and cutlasses. You know? So we need to see what we can do about accelerating the use of mechanization, machineries.
And all of this feed into our revenue and our debt servicing and the finances available to service our debts.
Of course, they are related, because it's all within the framework of effective, efficient macroeconomic management and getting priorities right. They are related. But if you set the priorities right, if you also create the right kind of policy environment, in some of these spaces, foreign investors can come in. And you know what foreign investors bring? They bring technology, they bring new ideas, they bring innovation, in addition to bringing capital. But the environment has to be right. And you have domestic investors who are ready to take agri to the next level. But we need to create the environment for them. What is the cost of agrochemicals, agri inputs? You know, these are some of the things you need. What's the cost of acquiring machineries? We have some states that don't have more than 2 or 3 tractors. They don't have. And these are predominantly agrarian states. So this is the kind of transition that needs to happen for agriculture. And it is not rocket science, for goodness sake. It's not rocket science. And we need to get the communities to also appreciate some of these things. Because I have seen some people, particularly those who are in sugar plantation, for instance, a lot of investment. We have been talking about backward integration in sugar. One of the biggest problems they are having now is the community problem. All sorts of issues from the communities, in spite of doing all sorts of things to support the community. But the community feels that they owe them everything, from schools to hospitals to roads, everything. You know, these are some of the challenges. But these things are doable. We are blessed enough, you know, to be able to escape all these situations.
I guess these are some of the questions that Nigerians should ask the politicians. I mean, campaign starts on the 28th.
Yes, yes.
So these are some of the things that Nigerians should be listening to.
We should interrogate.
Yes, when you see the politicians and their campaigning.
How do they want to do it?
Not saying they want to do it. Not saying they can make 1 naira to be a dollar, or how do you want to achieve it? Because words is so easy to say.
That is key. That is key.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Muda Yusuf. Always a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you very much.
And sharing your knowledge with us. We do hope that it will transcend beyond the talk, and someone is listening and will be challenged, to take it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we do have the markets for you here on Business Morning on Channels Television.